Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Drew's Book Reviews. Today we are talking about Jim Butcher's Changes from the Dresden Files. All I have to say is, wow. Stay tuned. Alright, are you ready for some changes? Not just any changes, I'm talking about massive, insane, huge changes. Like, wow. Jim Butcher has really outdone himself with changes from the Dresden Files. Absolutely loved this book. We have Harry Dresden, you're a wizard. If you've read this book series, you've gotten to know Mr. Harry Dresden. But he finds out a shocking truth about himself as well as about his life. He discovers he has a daughter, but not with just anyone. His daughter of his has been kept secret from him for years. And he doesn't even know about her until his ex-girlfriend, who's half vampire, Susan, shows up and says, "Hey Harry, you've got a daughter and the Red Court has her. They've kidnapped her and taken her away. You gotta help me find our daughter." So naturally this comes as a pretty big shock to Harry. And everything just starts snowballing from there. And to this cataclysmic, massive change, Harry ends up making these deals that he never thought he would see himself doing. He commits to courses of action he never thought he would see himself doing. And one thing I really loved about this book is, even though we find Harry doing things he never imagined and swore he would never do, we see him doing things, crossing those lines we thought he would never cross. It's written so well and so effectively in a way that is absolutely in line with his character. I didn't think there was anything out of character for this, and yet he's cross those lines that we never expected Harry to cross as a character. And it's just phenomenally well written. So this goes across America down into Mexico. We've got the Red Court and the Red King. We've got all kinds of just vampires and wizards, and just wow. Everything about this book was just absolutely amazing, and I really loved every aspect of it. Definitely by far the best book of the Dresden Files series so far. One part of it that just really hit home for me was when Harry sees his daughter in the flesh for the first time. So it was heartbreaking. His little girl, who's like 8 years old, 7, 8 years old. I've got a daughter the same age, and that was just, wow, it was just heartbreaking for that one particular scene on when that happened. And it's just amazingly, overall, just phenomenally well done. Absolutely loved this book. So there may be some spoilers coming up. Just want to give you a heads up and a warning now, lest you want it spoiler free, in which case you might want to turn off this review until you've read the book yourself, which I'm sure that you will, because Harry Dresden is just, wow, this really is a good book. So some of the things that happen here is Harry actually becomes the White Knight, something he swore he would never do. He becomes Winter's Knight in order to trade that for the power that he needed or deemed necessary in order to achieve his objective, which was rescuing the little girl he never knew that he had. And so he trades everything for this in order to accomplish that one task and that one goal. So this is a line he's been trying to avoid for a long time, but he's pushed to his limits. He has no other options left aside from calling on demonic powers themselves. And so he makes a trade for that. To become Winter's Knight, to obtain the assistance of Mab and the Queen of Winter his fairy godmother and all that kind of stuff. So he really didn't want to do that. He's been putting it off. He's been trying to avoid having to do that, but he's pushed to his limits. There's no more for him to do in that respect. And everybody just starts getting recruited. We even have Sergeant Murphy from the Chicago PD gets recruited into his cause, and she takes up the sword and fights alongside Harry, and there's this big battle down in Mexico with the whole Red Army, essentially the Vampire Court, Red Court Army is there. You know, I think at one point it describes over having 1,000 vampires against, 5 or 6 with Harry and his friends. It's just this overpowering, massive, epic conclusion. And, Harry has to make a sacrifice towards the end. One that he never thought he would do. One that he didn't think he could do, but he had to. He had no choice. He had to sacrifice. I'll try not to be too spoilery here, but he had to sacrifice someone he truly cared about in order to save his daughter. And the way in which he had to sacrifice her and the whole events that come up there is just, it's quite the turn right there. And we're just like, whoa, wait, what did he just do? And it's just, mind blown. It was just nuts and just crazy all around. And then right at the very end, with that last shot, so to speak, at the end of the book, and I'll leave it at that because I'm trying to leave things as spoiler-free as possible. Just the way that this book ended left me mad, it left me angry, it left me desperate for more. It just, I don't know whether to laugh or to cry or to scream or yell or throw, and I thought, damn you, Jim Butcher, how could you end a book like that? I'm thinking maybe that's a side of a good writer. I mean, come on, if he elicits such a strong reaction from his book for the way in which he ends something, then you've got to say that is the mark of a good writer. I mean, yeah, it made me want to scream. It made me want to yell and go, damn you, Jim Butcher, for the way you ended this book. But that's the sign of a good writer as far as I'm concerned. When a writer really gets you, when a writer really works you up and makes you want to scream, that is something that is the hallmark of a good writer, and that is what Jim Butcher has done with this book. Definitely 5-star across the board. Like, this was just amazing. The changes that happened within this book, the changes to Harry Dresden, and the changes to everything that's going on, just phenomenal all around. I could not recommend this book more. Definitely you're going to want to start right from the very beginning of the series, though, because this is quite far into the series, book 12 or 15 or something like that. So it's pretty far into the series. But yeah, overall, I mean, Change is just an incredible book. Just wow. And he has left me angry with how it ended. Not because it was necessarily just a terrible ending. Well, it was in one sense, and it wasn't in another. I mean, it was the kind of ending that elicits a strong response, and I think that is really, really good writing in general. And it definitely makes you want to pick up the books and continue reading on to the next volume. So yeah, I mean, those are just my thoughts on Changes by Jim Butcher. Just wow, like the changes are just wow. I don't know how else to put it. Just amazing. Absolutely love this read. And you know, I definitely enjoying the Dresden Files series overall, and I hope that you are too. If you've read this, if you like this, definitely like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you down in the comments below. And those are just my thoughts on Changes by Jim Butcher from the Dresden Files. Well, and again, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, keep on reading. Bye.